Hey everybody, I am Brant Hughes, and we posted a video called 5 Secret Codes Hidden in Plain Sight on January 18th, 2019. It took about 9.5 months for somebody to find the elusive 6th secret code hidden within that video itself. So let's go through each of the intended paths to solve it. There are 6 clues that result in a win status. If you can get to the end, there is some sort of loose, vague prize that we came up with the morning of, because that's how all of these tend to work. These 6 clues are buried pretty deep into the video. I wanted something that really stood out to kind of indicate to you that, hey, there's maybe a little bit more going on. In my mind, the first thing that you would really intentionally decode would be at the very end during the CTA. You can hear this noise that plays.
He's building some sort of faction where he's going to take us over or ruin us or trigger us like the Winter Soldier. There's something in here. I know it.
I think that's a good setup, but it doesn't have anywhere to go.
This, as many of you will remember, is a slow scan television signal, which we covered on the show. You can decode this message with an SSTV app on your phone, and it will reconstruct an image from the data in the audio signal. This code is a little bit noisy because it's playing underneath Brian and Jason speaking, so it's going to be kind of a distorted image, but you can still pretty clearly make out that the signal reads as one place, my face, and one code. Now, this was kind of a barrier for a lot of people where they decoded it and felt satisfied that they had solved some hidden mystery in the video, but that's not it. To me, it's the ending point, because this is a verification tool where if you get through all of the prior clues and you find that you have a place and you have a code, then you know that you have everything that you need to reach the end. There's one other fairly obvious clue. It's almost so obvious that I think a lot of people didn't entirely recognize it as a clue. They saw it more as a gag. As Brian and Jason both ask me off camera whether or not there are hidden codes in the show, we have the voice of Dress Pants Robot Man telling them no, while the word no flashes on screen in a very precarious manner.
Hey, Brant, are you putting in hidden codes?
Are there hidden codes in the show?
No.
And when you map out visually all of the variations of no, let's say you map it out sequentially in a line, you'll notice that there's a combination of 3 different colors. Just seeing this no flash across the screen might be a bit ambiguous, so I did give another clue, and this clue was actually the key to solving the no. As we have the title card, there's a little bit of glitching out that happens on Brian's image, and in one of those frames, you can see the text B2, open parentheses, hash or number sign, A number sign, close parentheses. If you have all of the no's mapped out, you can see a pattern emerge. The B2 is supposed to indicate that it is a binary system. So you have on and you have off. Within the parentheses is supposed to be your objects. So you have 3 objects. Now that you're looking for patterns, you can see 3 distinct groupings of ons and offs, with spacings of 3 gray blocks to separate them. Referring back to the key, it's indicated that the first object is a number in binary, the second object will be alphanumeric in binary, and the third object will again be a number in binary. You sort of had to play around to figure out which color indicated on and which color indicated off, but I wanted it so that if you had it backwards, it didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But you'll soon find that yellow indicates on, white indicates off. The first number would be 2. The alphanumeric, the sort of Unicode character, would be a colon. The second number would be 47. So now you have 247. Your first 2 clues are solved, and it gives you a lead on where the next clues will be. You now have a time code. I would hope that if you're watching a YouTube video and you see a time within the duration of the video, you would go to that time code. It seemed like a logical conclusion to jump to. At 247, you'll find the next 2 clues. Both are presented simultaneously, but you'll need a sharp eye to see them. It's actually quite unfortunate that this episode came out before we started publishing videos in 4K, because I think that extra resolution would have helped people spot it just a little bit easier. In these little animations next to the headline tag, it does always say themodernrogue.com, although typically it's in lowercase. Here it is in all capitals and there's a /. That's a clue that since it looks more like a URL, there's probably one hidden there. So if you look at these characters quite closely, you can see little pinpricks on some of the letters, but not all of them. You can see one on P, on S, on R, on T, on S, on I, and on E. Now, PSRTSIE doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It's a little bit of a word jumble. If you unscramble those letters, you get persist. Now, if you go to themodernrogue.com/persist, it leads you to a seemingly blank page with a lock on it and a password box. Seems like maybe we've got our one place, now we need one code. So, where do we go to continue looking for that code? We just passed over a clue that will point us in the right direction. As the article slides into view, there's a very fast clue that flashes for about 6 to 7 frames, somewhere in that range, and it appears just below the title. Since we've already established that we're working with binary here, I intended for you to build off of the previous clues to assume that maybe this is binary as well. If you convert this from binary into a number, an alphanumeric Unicode character, and a number again, you'll get 8:27. Yet another time code. But there's one extra thing here. If you look just to the right of this binary sequence, there is an arrow pointing to the top right. If you go to timecode 827, you can see this little card pop up in the top right, and it reads Nightmare at 20,000 feet. Of course, linking to the brilliant Twilight Zone episode, one of my favorites, so of course I've got to work it into this whole puzzle. Upon closer inspection, you might notice some odd formatting on this card. There's this big gap in between at and 20,000 feet. 20,000 feet doesn't have any commas or spaces. It's just sort of this little block of text here. So that is going to be our code. I wanted it to stand out, but subtly so. So if we go back to themodernrogue.com/persist and type in 20000 FT, boom, we're in. And that's it. That's really it. There's not a whole lot to this puzzle. It's just very subtly hidden, very particular in the spots where it's at. Now, while all of this is said, some people may have thought that there was something going on in the thumbnail of the video. It showed off some Morse code that said the owls are not what they seem. That's just referring to the episode itself.
Mickey comes out and he's like, the owls are not what they seem.
I wanted it to kind of give off this impression of there being hidden embedded messages, but that in itself was not part of the greater puzzle. There were also some additional clues that we posted well after the video was published to remind people that there was still more to uncover. So the first clue was posted to our Twitter account, and it was just a little crop of themodernrogue.com/persist. Around the time that we had published the video, many commenters were convinced that they had mined the video of all it had to offer. Nobody had yet discovered this page though, so I had hoped that the mystery of it would inspire motivated viewers to dig even deeper. For some clever observers, you may have noticed that I attached an image description to that post. It reads, a dark gray lock logo on a light gray background. An empty password box rests below it. It is part of a victory condition. To pinpoint its presence, you must perceive the particulars. Again, this was just me indicating that there is a victory condition. If you have to ask whether you've finished the puzzle or not, then you haven't finished the puzzle. And I wanted to allude to the little dots on the letters in clue number 3. Then I posted a short video as the second external clue. Here I wanted to show off the one place and one code image that people had been decoding, as this is no longer beyond the forefront of common knowledge for people who were looking to solve it. I wanted to acknowledge that yes, that is there, but there is more going on. That begs the question, what do these symbols mean? Well, you've heard me speak over the course of this video that there are 6 clues in the video. You can see 6 symbols on the first row. The X symbol represents a clue that at the time of posting this clip had not only been discovered by the community, but also solved. The hollow circles, however, those are clues that had only been discovered. In this case, the first two represent the no sequence and the binary key. Viewers had seen both of these clues and knew that there was something to get out of them, but they hadn't quite figured out how to decode them. The solid circles, as you might imagine, are clues that hadn't even been discovered by anybody at the time. The same language applies to row 2, but these specifically refer to external clues, clues that we posted on our social media accounts to give the community additional opportunities to find entry points into the puzzle and possibly navigate around some sort of blockage that they might have run into. Now, it should surprise no one that the first external clue was the lock screen image, and the second one was this symbol guide itself. This leads us to our third clue. I took the colors from the no sequence and I broke them into 3 separate columns. Fans of the game Fez will probably recognize the specific technique I used here, so the following is a spoiler for the mechanics of a late game puzzle in Fez. I had indicated that it's a binary message via sound. Each block corresponds to the color of every separate character in the no sequence. The yellow and white blocks emit the same noise, but the yellow noise is panned all the way to the left and the white noise is panned all the way to the right. It's subtle, especially at such a fast rate, but for most people it's best heard with headphones. The gray blocks, however, don't emit any noise at all, indicating that it's separate from the actual data of the message. This was new information to those investigating at the time. Each block also emits noise upon vanishing, except again, the gray blocks remain silent. And this leads us to our fourth and final external clue, of which we show not only the place in the code which had been solved, we not only show the binary sequence which people were inspecting, but it also shows this encrypted message which decodes as hidden in plain sight, code remains unsolved, clues come in pairs, 6 in all. One code in one place tell you the goal, freshen up on base 2 and much will be told. This, of course, was attached to the very end, the CTA of our one-time pad video, and the clue indicates to viewers that, hey, you should really go back to this video and solve the puzzle if you really want more of this kind of thing. I give the little hint that there are 6 in total, and that they typically come in pairs. This was maybe not the most elegant hint in retrospect, but my thinking was that you often need one to solve another. Most of the clues are linked, so clue 2 is needed to solve clue 1. Clue 4 is needed to find clue 5. Clue 3 is further explained by clue 6, and so on. This also confirms that the one code in one place are sort of a verification tool at the very end to help you know whether or not you have everything that you need, and that base 2 is a key component to solving many of these clues. So, give a big congratulations to the handful of participants who worked together to solve this from the BUP Ciphers Discord server. If you want to read more about what it took for them to get here and solve this puzzle, there's a comment detailing it on the first pass edit that is hidden on the victory status page. Of course, we don't do this too often, but every time we do, it's always very fun to hide a bunch of stuff in ways that you very likely will not find. Of course, you can find more from me on twitter.com/Gadowag and more from the show in general at twitter.com/modernrogueshow and youtube.com/modernrogue. I'm just so incredibly relieved to be able to finally discuss the methods used here and show them off to people. It's a real hard thing to keep it in when you're afraid that I made a broken code that would be impossible to solve. Luckily, that was not the case. Thank you very much for watching, and if we ever do another one of these, I'm sure you'll hear from me then.